Is there frustration with Brayden Schenn's leadership style with this Blues team that cannot seem to get on the right track?
Hey, this is Brayden Schenn. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I'm your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here in the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today on Locked On Blues, I want to talk to you about Captain Brayden Schenn's leadership and why fans might be frustrated after how repetitive, I shall say, he has been following some of these losses. This Blues team right now, it's frustrating, but why is it even more so frustrating when you think about players such as Jordan Kyrou and Jimmy Snuggard that are unable to compete? And finally, a happy holidays to you all. And I want to talk about how awesome the holiday season is here in St. Louis. And we're going to end this episode on a positive note. But before I begin today's episode, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL Live bets all season long. I hope every single one of you is having a great day. Today is December 25th, and that is Christmas. And I know that today was a big day when it came to football, basketball, but we didn't have any hockey, which was actually quite a nice break for all of us, considering how the Blues have been. And I think at the end of the day, when it comes to Brayden Schenn, he has gotten a lot of heat for how he's been as a captain of this Blues team, and not, in my opinion, justly. I think that he is a good person. I think that he is great in the locker room. I don't know how he is on the ice just because I'm not on the ice and they don't really have the mic so you can't hear what happens. But I do think that he does everything that he needs to do. I don't think the problem with the Blues falls on Brayden Schenn and his ability to be a quote-unquote good captain. But I think some fans are just frustrated with maybe how he's responding to these losses and how he talks about how they're unacceptable. I don't expect him to say anything other than that. I think that it puts him in this really unjust and unfair position for him himself to try to fix this team when there's many more problems that are out of his control. He's not the GM. He's not signing players. He is not coaching players. He is the captain. Yes, your job is to be a leader and to show that leadership on and off the ice. But at the end of the day, I mean, he did not construct this team. And I know that there has been a lot of rumors about Brayden Schenn potentially being traded. And we've talked about that. And I still think that is a possibility. But just talking to you about the sole point of, I can't say I am blaming how the Blues are performing, or maybe not performing is a better way to put it, this season on Brayden Schenn. And I get it. You know, after a loss, it is frustrating hearing the same thing, so to say, but he's not going to put his guys on blast to the media. And if he did, what kind of captain, what kind of leader would he be if he was calling out players to the media? That's not what a captain does. A captain keeps things internal. And I think for a lot of us, when we expect to see someone that's a captain, because this is how I was growing up, you usually expect it to be the best player on the team. And this is not a dig towards Brayden Schenn by any means, but he isn't the best player on the Blues, but he is the best fit for the role of being captain, in my opinion. You weren't going to be giving that to somebody else. And soon enough, one day, Robert Thomas will be the captain of the Blues. But right now, it should be Brayden Schenn. And I think that we put a lot of unnecessary pressure when it comes to how Brayden Schenn should be doing. We expect him to perform better. We expect him to be this all-star type of player because he's wearing the C, when that isn't the reality. And that's never been his game here in St. Louis. he does a great job at the role that he's assigned. Now, do I think that he should be a 2C? No, I would rather him as the 3C, but due to all the injuries, 2C is fine, and Dvorsky's holding it down as the 3C. But I feel like there's a lot of question when it comes to his leadership. And as I just explained, I don't think that he is somebody that we should be questioning when it comes to leadership. I think if you want to question some people on the team when it comes to leadership, you could question Bush. He has a huge contract. What is he doing? But again, he's not bringing a letter, so I guess you can't question him on that, but you can question him as a veteran. I think that Justin has stepped up big time. Robert Thomas, I mean, we all know that Robert Thomas is the guy, so we can't even question him. But is it fair that we're even questioning any of the players on how they are as leaders or how they are in the locker room when they're doing the best they can given the situation? And the reason why I think I get so frustrated about Brayden Schenn in particular is because I have watched Brayden play his entire career, not even with just the Blues. And he deserves so much more respect than he is given. And this season, I mean, sure, I mean, he's played the 38 games of 6 goals, 8 assists, 14 points, minus 17. So while that's not great and dandy and all, and he's only picked up 1 point in his last 5 games, which again isn't good, and that was against Florida with an assist. But I genuinely do believe that this season as a whole, we're just not going to see good stats for most of our guys. And I want to tell you that it is okay to have the frustration that you have, but I don't question his leadership. I really don't. That is the one thing that I am actually confident in. And I have been in the locker room actually multiple times with Brayden Schenn as a Blue. I believe 3 times. Yeah, 3 times I have been. And we've talked all 3 times. And the amount of respect that you can see that the players give him would just answer anyone's questions of if he is a good leader in the locker room. He has so much respect amongst his teammates, amongst all the coaches that he's been with. And I think that looking back and reflecting on that, maybe that's why I feel this way, because I have seen it firsthand on multiple occasions of how respected he is. And I've been in a lot of NHL locker rooms, and a lot. And what I can say is this: whenever the captain comes in after, a practice or even during a game and the captain's speaking, there's a level of respect that the other players give the captain. And it's hard to put into words, but that respect is there, and that respect is earned, and that respect is given. And he does have control over the locker room, in my opinion. I think it just comes down to the fact that this is a team that is struggling, that just hasn't been playing good, consistent hockey. And again, we could go back and forth on this. And I know that there's people that want out when it comes to Brayden Schenn, that they don't want to see him on the team anymore, that they want to potentially trade him. But what I will say to you is this: when we got rid of Craig Berube, was that the best decision that the Blues made? Or was that just an easy out? And I bring this up only for the fact that it's really easy to blame the coaches, to blame the captains, to blame everybody except the actual problem itself. And the problem itself, maybe it's the roster, maybe it's the injury bug going around, or maybe, just hear me out, this team is having a really bad season with a lot of but unfortunate events transpiring. So I think blaming Brayden Schenn's the easy choice, the easy answer, and honestly a cop-out for what's actually happening. And considering all things, I think that he's been doing a great job as a leader this season, facing the media, facing the public, and being able to protect his teammates at the same time. So I want to talk to you about why I think it's so frustrating this season. But before I do so, I know there's a lot of reasons to ask why it's so frustrating, but the number one reason. But before I do that, I want to talk to my friends over at FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet Nucks touchdown scores, drive results totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of action this season, visit fanduel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. This season, it has been frustrating for the St. Louis Blues without a doubt. I mean, this is a team that we expected to see a little bit more fight out of, considering that they made it all the way to game 7 of the first round of the playoffs last year and lost in a heartbreaking manner to the Winnipeg Jets. This was a team that we saw go on a 12-game win streak at the end of last season. I mean, we saw a lot of good things from the Blues last season. However, this season, it's been a completely different story. We've seen a team struggle to get consecutive wins. We've seen a team struggle to get goals. We've seen a team struggle flat out. But the number one reason and the biggest reason as to why right now in this present moment, why the Blues aren't finding success is due to injury. With the Blues having players out, such as a Jordan Kyrou, a Jimmy Snuggerud, you were truly in such a bad position. This is a team that's not complete or whole. And as much as for whatever reason people like to hate on Jordan Kyrou, which in itself, by the way, I find really strange and, in my opinion, just flat out weird. I mean, Jordan Kyrou is a very good player, and I never will get the hate that anybody has towards him. Just all things considering, he is a huge part of this Blues offense, and he actually does play well. But anyways, we've also seen Jimmy Snuggerud, who's been performing excellent prior to his injury. So I think when it comes to the injuries, yes, that does play a huge role. And it's been like this all season long. I mean, you also have Dylan Holloway, who is out, by the way. You have Nathan Walker. You have Nick Bukestad. I mean, you have so many players that are out. And I feel like right now that's not being talked about as much. And the reason why I say this is because of this. When you have guys, and I'm talking offense right now, and I'm talking our main like stars, not so I apologize to some. When you have Jordan Kyrou, Dylan Holloway, and Snuggie out offensively, well, it's all offensive players, but you get the point. That's really, really bad. Now, defense hasn't had the injury bug. The defense isn't good. That's what it comes down to, my opinion. But offensively, yeah, it's an issue. And when a team can't stay healthy, how can you expect this team to gain any sort of consistency? You can't. And that's why this Blues team is struggling as much as they are. It is so easy. It's the easy cop out to say, well, they're not playing good, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's the health that matters. And I think that for Snuggie, when he comes back, you're going to have to give him more opportunity, right? I mean, he is one of those players that impressed me beyond words at the end of last season. But is there even a way that we can fix this team with the injury bug. I mean, I want to reevaluate this team if they were fully healthy again. We had our guys back, and I would actually see, hey, with some of the moves that we made, now our offense is improved. But I can't do that because that's not the reality of what this team is right now. And I feel like at the beginning of the season, when most of the guys were happy, I mean, healthy and happy, um, I don't know. Like, it makes me think, like, are we blaming the injuries, or is it just a way of us to blame something that's not just us saying, yeah, this team isn't a good team, if that makes sense? Because I think the reality of this team just not being a good team and it not being due to the injuries or anything like that would be actually more devastating than anything, just considering of how successful they were at the end of last season when they were able to make it to the playoffs. And I know the goalies, it's not been good. Binnington hasn't been good. At the beginning of the season, Hofer struggled. But I mean, there is so much more to that. It's like everything just isn't connecting. And that's what doesn't make sense to me. Colton Parayko defensively hasn't been playing great. And he's such a big player in a sense that he's a bigger guy. And we want to see more physicality out of Colton Parayko. So that's been frustrating. I mean, there are so many factors and so many reasons as to why the Blues are struggling. One of them has to go with Logan Mayo. I'm going to say it. He's cost the Blues a couple games. Now, for me now, it's less about Bolduc, but it's more so the value that the Blues could have gained from waiting and then trading Bolduc at a later time rather than making that trade this offseason. I thought it was stupid. I thought that they could have actually received a player who has more experience, um, or even a draft pick. A good draft pick could have been valuable. But this is the situation. This team kind of dug themselves in a hole. And I know I keep saying it's not over until it's over. And I truly believe that that's how we should be looking at it, because it sucks as a fan to have that mentality of, well, my season's done. And I guess that's like a reality check that some people probably need. I'm just a little bit delusional and I still believe in miracles. And it just goes back to when we won the cup, like, in all honesty, because I thought we were done and we sucked. And then all of a sudden we win the Stanley Cup. So I think that there is a lot of frustration, but I think the number one reason for the frustration as of lately, going back to my main point, is 100% the injuries, but then there's other factors. And I mentioned Ibushi, I mentioned a Parayko, a Mayu. I mean, I'm mentioning all of these things and they all add up. Every single one of these problems adds up. And the Blues have lost a lot. Momentum, players, points. There's been a lot that this team has lost, and I don't know if they're going to be able to regain it back without having to maybe blow it all up. And that's the reality. And mind you, that this is Doug Armstrong's last year as GM for the Blues. And I know that he has the Olympics on his mind as he's GM for Team Canada. And when Steen takes over, it's his call. But I truly think that blowing this team up might be the reason why this team is getting saved, because they have some really good talent, but it's just not working. So before I talk to my last segment, I want to remind you to like and subscribe to Locked On Blues here on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, you name it. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. Also, if you want to join any of our conversations about games as they're going on, and yes, usually it is me just live tweeting a lot of frustration, make sure to go to Twitter at Locked On Blues, where I post my thoughts and feelings as the games happen live. And it's been very negative as of lately, but you know what? hopefully soon enough there will be an ounce of positivity. So, I want to take this next segment because I know this is my Christmas spectacular episode, and I haven't even talked about any of the holiday stuff because I've been so frustrated with the Blues, and we've been able to kind of digest, the ins and the outs. Yesterday, we were able to talk about Coach Montgomery and how he's been doing. We talked about Doug Armstrong and the Olympics. The day prior, the Chiefs relocating to the Kansas side, and why that's not good for our state, in my opinion. But today, I was able to address some other frustrations that I've been having on my noggin. And I forgot that there is something called the holiday time and how it's the most wonderful time of the year. And I want to ask you, because I am curious, did anybody receive any cool gifts related to the Blues this year, whether that's a sweater, whether that's tickets to a game? Let me know in the comments below. I always love seeing everyone's gifts and what people received. But the holidays, it's much more than gifts. It's about being with family and the people that we love. And I have another question I want to ask you. Is there a moment, and I'm going to relate this back to the Blues because I feel like a lot of our memories in life come back to sports. Was there a moment where you were with a loved one, or you know what, you could even be by yourself, because some of my favorite moments are when I'm by myself or with my cats. But was there a moment when you were, I don't know, with the family and something happened, whether it's going to a Blues game with a family member or watching it on TV, and it was just a really memorable moment, or maybe the moment that the Blues won the cup in that game 7? Was there a moment that you spent with a family member that you talk about during the holidays? Like, oh, you remember that time when the Blues won? And, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I am curious about any of those stories. I want to hear about that. And the reason why I bring these questions up to you and I propose these questions to you, it has meaning and value to what's going on with the Blues right now. While this team is going through some hardships, there's been so much positive that this team's been able to give us, to give me, to give you, and to give all of us. And as frustrated as we are right now, because I am beyond frustrated and devastated about the state of this team, I do have to remind myself that this team has given me so much to be happy for and thankful for, and stories that I'm able to tell because of the Blues. So that is why during this time where we have a lot of frustrations, I want to focus on some of the positives because it will get better for us one day. Most likely not this season, definitely not this season, but one day soon enough, and we'll be able to talk about, hey, remember that time in the 25-26 season when the Blues sucked, and who would have thought that a couple years from now we would be cup contenders? You know what I'm saying? Like something like that. But I feel like the holiday time, it's been, at least for me, negative because of how the Blues have been, and I've been in such a bad mood. And a lot of people can attest to that. Like, I have not been happy because of the Blues. It dictates my mood. I think I care too much, in my opinion. No, I definitely care too much. That's not even just my opinion. That is a factual statement. But I do always kind of wonder, what does this hockey team truly mean to people that breathe it day in and day out like I do? And it was a beautiful day, some of the warmest weather I have felt during this time of the year. So I was a little bit confused and puzzled about that. But overall, it was such a great day. And maybe not having any hockey on did kind of help in that sense. Listen, I think the NHL could do such a good job when it comes to capitalizing on Christmas Eve. But NHL, I mean, Christmas Day, NHL would never work just due to the fact that you have the NBA and NFL competing with each other. So you wouldn't get the ratings at all for the NHL. But I think Christmas Eve, like, you could have a couple games and that could get a lot of popularity. But who knows? Also, if you got any Cardinals stuff, let me know. It's not like we have a football team anymore. Um, That's a whole other rant. Okay. I will talk to you all tomorrow, and like always, have a Merry Christmas and let's go Blues.